Hey everybody, my name is Renaud. I'm a coach, a teacher, and a writer, and this short video is designed to help you discover and live your personal standards. Alright, as I mentioned a little while ago, I'm a writer, and I wrote a book called Uncompromised. It's about living your version of an uncompromised life, your life on your terms. In there, I wrote a couple of chapters about values and personal standards, which I juxtaposed because for years, and it doesn't even matter what you've done for a living or if you're, we've all heard of values, and probably the old refrain, if we all just lived our values, what? The world would be a better place, or life would be great, or something along those lines. But that's garbage. Because the truth is, values don't work to create long-term sustaining change. I want you to think about this with me. Walk with me here. Okay, think about a time in your life when you worked really, really hard and you got done, and whether you've done values clarification or not, we've all had a thought of, wow, I need to take care of myself. And so what do? You might go get a spinach salad, some broiled chicken, and take care of yourself. You do something good for your body, or you go for a run or do something along those lines, right? Well, guess what? Then the next time you're having a rough time, you say, you know what, I just need to do something for myself, take care of myself, and then you go get the Ben & Jerry's ice cream. What you're doing is that word or that phrase, that concept of self-care or taking care of yourself, you're asking as a value to one, do the heavy lifting of eating the spinach salad even when you may not want to, and also it justifies your behavior when you're going off the rails with your diet. So it doesn't really work. And people do this all the time with their values, whether it's about love or power or money or whatever else. They can tend to wrap whatever it is that they want to do around this value and justify their actions. If you look at our political atmosphere as well, people do the same thing, right? They do what they want, call it love, call it for the children or whatever else, and it somehow justifies whatever it is they're up to. And that doesn't work. If my son comes home from school and says, Daddy, I entered my value of power today and I punched some kid in the face, I'd be horrified, of course, because it's not what word we put attached to an action, it's the action itself. Okay, I'm going to give another example because it's just so over the top. It hopefully just really makes my point very clear. I believe very, very powerfully that if you did ask Mother Teresa and Gandhi and Stalin and Hitler to do values clarification, you probably would end up with values that all sounded somewhat similar. You'd get words like mission, right? They were all on a sense of mission, right? Love, I'm sure they all had their concept of love. Commitment, right? All important words that we would all get behind, but none of us like the way Stalin, right, killing 60 million of his own people? Hitler killing about 30 million people. We don't like the way they actually went about their business and honored those values. So let's ditch values, okay? Can we do that? Cool, for now. And let me introduce you to the idea of personal standards. Now, ultimately, really, at the end of the day, a personal standard is nothing more than an affirmation and an action. Okay, and if you hold on to that, you've got most of what you need, except for any really good personal growth mechanism or philosophy does need an underpinning that makes sense and hopefully carries the day to really create the lasting change it suggests it does. So, I have a couple of questions that, I know that philosophers and religions have wrestled with for years that I'm going to answer the question of what the philosophical underpinning is of personal standards. And hopefully this will make sense to you as well. So one of the questions is what? Who am I? Who are you? Who, dear God, who am I? Well, my answer is going to be who you are is who you are at your best. Period. Who you are is who you are at your best. Now, again, that's a pretty subjective experience, but if who you are is powerful and bold and amazing and sharp and interesting and provocative and funny and all those wonderful qualities, as well as some other qualities as well, we'll get the darker qualities. It's another conversation for another video, but for now, bear with me, right? If who you are is all those things, then your job is access. That's the real work we're after, is access to those great qualities. And to the concept that I call self-union, which is when you're in union with that best and true part of yourself. Okay, great. The other question that people ask all the time is, why am I here, right? What's my purpose? So why you're here is to be faithful to your roles. And now I'll tell you, I get both questions, both answers to these questions I get are probably tremendously unsatisfying for most people. You're here to be faithful to your roles. Well, what are your roles? Your roles are father, mother, brother, uncle, sister, employee, doctor. We'll get right down to, the more granular of the things that you do. Brother, I probably said brother, friend. But what most people don't do is think. They don't think about what it actually means to be any of those things in life. And so what happens is we don't do that thinking. So then we go out and look for what's my greater purpose out in the world, where if you haven't even been faithful to in terms of being a brother or a mother or an uncle or whatever you are, and I'm not telling you that there is a single way to be faithful. This is your work to recognize, look, in my family, in my situation, in my integrity, with my authenticity, this is what it actually means in my world, in my life. And to think through those things and then to live them. So if your purpose in life is to be faithful to your roles, then your job is to live through your identity, your best self, through your roles with some clearly determined actions to help develop yourself in those qualities. Does that make sense? Write questions below if anything I'm saying doesn't make perfect sense to you, okay? Okay, so what a personal standard is. I'm going to give you a couple examples. An example might be I am present, right? Because who I am at my best is present. Oh, parenthetically, what you want to be doing when you're creating your personal standards is looking at areas in your life where you're not showing up as powerfully as you'd like. Because what you're doing is developing yourself beyond the areas in which you've already just got handled, okay? So I might, in my life, not be being very present. I might be scattered or checking my texts or whatever else I'm doing, but not really being present with where I am, maybe at my friend's, my kid's soccer game or something along those lines, and I'm wanting to be more present. So I would come up with one that said, you know what, I am present. I'm claiming that for myself. And one I came up with beforehand is I feel, right? I feel my emotions. I'm aware of my body. I feel, consider, right? Think, and choose 5 times a day. And so I am present. I feel, consider, and choose 5 times a day. Now, the idea behind this is when you begin to focus your energy at being present by actually doing something very specific to develop that quality. One, you take it out of the ambiguity of values, which is I feel like I exhibited power today, or I kind of did this, or whatever. No. To you being able to very specifically measure, hey, how did I do today at being present? Did I pause and really consider and feel and then choose how I wanted to feel and think? Okay. So I'm going to give you another example of a personal standard. How about this? I'm serious. I read 30 minutes a day. Now, the idea behind this standard is someone who maybe isn't taking their life very seriously or their education. And so they recognize, I need to step up. I need to be more serious. And so they claim it. I am serious. And again, in a sober look at how can I exhibit being more serious in my life? Well, if I took myself and my self-study more seriously, I'd read 30 minutes at least. Okay, great. I am serious. I read 30 minutes a day. Perfect. That makes sense? Now, what I recommend is 4 of these, because too many more is, it starts getting to be too much, too spread out of an attention, of a focus. And so 4 of those is a great place to start. Now, the thing about personal standards I'm going to tell you is they are absolute and seasonal. Now, you can tell the absolute nature of them by the examples I gave. I am serious. I read 30 minutes a day. There's no I try to, or I'm kind of serious. I see what I can do. If I'm not too busy, I do this and that. Because otherwise, it's just, there's no commitment to that. All right? Now, the idea here is to say these in the morning and to say them with the emotional content that really matches the intention behind each one. So, for example, if your idea of being serious is like really like there's a potency and a power behind it, and you say, you know what, I am serious. I'm serious. I read 30 minutes a day. I am serious. I am serious. I read 30 minutes a day. You'd say it 2, 3, 5 times until it really slots in and you can really feel that. Okay? And then you go on your day and you do your thing. Hopefully you're going to read. But at night or in the evening, before you go to bed, you're going to say these again. And as you do this, you're going to pause and reflect. I'm serious. I read 30 minutes a day. Geez, how did I do today? Well, I read about 25, but then I had to handle this and that, and I did good. I need to make sure I start a little earlier before my such and such a meeting. Okay, good. And you're going to have what begins to be a very measurable means by which you can chart and mind your growth. Okay. Now there's much, what I also said is that they're seasonal. So right, they're absolute and they're seasonal. So after a certain period of time, say I'm working on reading 30 minutes a day and being more serious. After a certain amount of time when I've got this thing handled, I'm going to put this in the attic, so to speak. Just like somebody might take Christmas or Hanukkah or what have you, sit decorations out at a particular time of year, and then come January or whatever, they all get put in the attic again for another 6-8 months, or I guess another year, and they're not really relevant. Likewise, this personal standard gets to be put in the attic until it becomes relevant again, and then I'll just replace it with another area of my life in which I'm wanting to develop myself further. Okay, there's a lot more to be said, but I'm going to stop it right here. If you do have questions, feel free to reach out, rr@ronrenaud.com, or make a comment below. Like this video, and let's continue the conversation. All right, peace.